Okay, so today we're changing up the format a little bit, and my daughter Ava is asking me 5 questions about motherhood and my experience and journey through the 2.5 decades that I have been doing this. Come and take a listen. Welcome to your emotional makeover. Things your mother never told you because no one ever told her. I'm your host, Dr. Amanda Hansen. This is where you reimagine womanhood. Let us begin. Before we get into the episode, I wanted to share with you that on November 2nd and 3rd, I will be hosting an event for 1,000 women in Phoenix, Arizona. Magnetic. Imagine a space where the biggest party meets the most transformative experience. This will be a one-of-a-kind, life-changing event that will divide your life into before and after. Connect with your magnetic energy. Discover your feminine essence. And learn practical tools for becoming the woman of your dreams. Claim your ticket at the lowest price possible right now. Spots are limited. I can't wait to meet you at Magnetic. Hello, welcome back. We are together again, me and my daughter Ava. And she had an amazing idea of changing up the format a little bit today and how we're going to do things here. So Ava, I'm going to kick it off and let you lead.
Yeah, we were actually thinking that this would have been a great episode to release on Mother's Day, but we're a little late on that. We weren't even together on Mother's Day, were we?
No,
I
where
don't think
was
so.
I? Oh, I was with Nana and both your Nanas.
Right,
Yeah.
right, in the Bahamas. So we're going to just do it now. We were sitting here trying to think of what we wanted to talk about today, and then we were like, let's just film it another day. Like, we're not in the mindset or the space. We don't have anything that we really, really want to talk about. And then I thought, I have some questions I could ask you. So I'm going to ask my mom, the midlife muse, some questions about being a mom. So,
oh, let's do it. I'm so excited.
Okay. So I have some of them written down. So the first question is, what was or still is the hardest part about being a mom to you? I mean, I'm sure there's like a million, but
yeah, exactly. Let me first answer by saying there are a lot of things about being a mom that are hard.
Which is also, I feel like, different for everyone. This is really just, which is important to say that this is just about her experience.
This is totally my experience. When you were babies, there was a different hard versus the hard now. The biggest one I remember being hard then for me was the sleep deprivation. It was like, it's a real struggle. Any new moms who are listening, anyone who can tap into the trauma of sleep deprivation. And, it also makes me think about, I remember being a new mom and being so tired. And because we never lived near family and not having any help, I remember it made so much sense to me why so many women were in postpartum depression. Because you're so sleep deprived, your body's changed so much. And then especially in Western civilizations, we have so much isolation happening that the postpartum depression makes sense because I think a societal issue. So for me, the sleep deprivation when you were all babies was the hardest part because this woman loves her sleep.
Yeah.
I would say that was the hardest part. But you know what is the hardest part later? Probably, for all of the years, when watching your kids be in the world and have hard, unexplainable things happen to them that are part of life, because grief and loss and mistakes are all part of life. Mm-hmm. Watching those things happen to my children and not being able to do anything about it. And I knew that it was never my job to do anything about it because you had to go through those things.
Yeah.
All I could ever really do is just be there for you. But there's this helplessness almost, because I think there's something fundamental in a parent, at least I can speak for myself, where you want to take the pain away. You want to take the suffering. You see a mistake that they're about to walk into and you're like, I know I have to let them figure this out for themselves.
Yeah.
Because just like I can't preach to you guys about what I think is best for you, I have to lean back and trust you're all going to find your way. And when I was really struggling with that, when you were all like learning to drive out in the world, there were so many times. Yes, it was so scary. I remember saying to Dad at one point, I don't know how I'm going to survive these years, because I had worry about you all being in the world for all kinds of reasons. And I remember one of the best ways that I could calm myself was I had this mantra, and I would say it over and over. And I rarely, it's interesting because I'm realizing I don't say it as much anymore. And maybe I'm not saying it as much because there's so much evidence that you're all finding your way.
Yeah.
But I used to say, I'd take a couple of deep breaths and I would say to myself, every one of my children is on their own spiritual path that I cannot interfere with. I can walk next to them. So every time they turn and look, they know I'm there. If they need a hand or a shoulder or sometimes to be carried, I'm always going to be there, but I cannot interrupt their path. Their path is their own. And it's going to be the unique imprint of what makes them them. It's not for me to project my ideas into. And at times it almost felt like I worried, like, was it feeling ever too hands off? And my approach was, I guess I fundamentally trusted you were all going to find your way. And I really wanted you to feel like you all had that freedom to do it.
Yeah. Because I feel like, I mean, I definitely think I would never say you were hands off. I definitely would never say that. But I do think it's important then because, like, for example, you would maybe put us into certain things when we were younger, like dance or sports or whatever. But if we didn't like it, you didn't force us to be in it.
Never.
Like, you would definitely, I mean, you weren't just like quit right then and there, but because that doesn't teach anything either. But you allowed us to all make choices about our life in every way, as long as you knew it was like good intentions and like we were good people and it was hopefully going to lead us in the right direction. Like, we were able to make those decisions. So now what I do with my life, like why I love acting and singing, is because I love acting and singing.
Yes.
And because, like, Jax, for example, like everything that he does, everything he does at school, everything with animals is because he loves it.
Yes.
And like everybody, all of our siblings, like, do what they want to do because maybe you push them to get there, but like you allow them to decide if they want to stay there or if they didn't. But I think that's important because it's like there's parents who either for whatever reason just aren't involved at all.
Yeah.
And the kids have no direction and they actually wish that their parents cared more. But then there's the people whose parents, like helicopter parents, who make every decision for them and don't let them do a single thing on their own. So I think it's so important to have like a balance. Like you said, to let them go on their own path, but we know that you're always there and for support, and that's important. Like, it's so important to have a balance. And I feel like you figured that out really well.
Thank you, honey. Thank you so much. There are times that I felt like the doubt creep in. Should I jump in more here? And I would breathe. And that was literally the mantra that got me through probably a good 10 years of being a mom.
Yeah. That's something that I honestly already sometimes worry about. Like, I don't know. I mean, I worry all the time about the people I care about and their safety and my own safety. Like, it's just, I feel like especially in the world we live in today with like the insane amount of violence, but even just like in any scenario, car accidents, like drinking and like anything like that stresses me out.
Oh, yeah.
So as a mom, it's like, I can't even, because you want, like you said, you want to let us do our own thing, and you want to like be a little more chill and like let us, go out. Like, all of our friends are going out. Like, that's a normal stage to go through.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we're all still like in that, but yeah, I mean, that's hard. That's really hard.
It is. It's a big act and practice of surrender.
Yeah.
Motherhood, parenting is the greatest act of surrender. Like, surrendering to this thing of like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I really have no control in the end. And it just kept bringing me back to, you have to surrender and trust. And I remember a couple of times, particularly like with one of your brothers who definitely is most of these gray hairs on this head.
Yeah.
There were times where when he and I would be in a struggle around something, I remember one time in particular, he felt like I just didn't understand him, or I wasn't hearing him. And I said, "Oh no, I'm hearing you." And then I remember I broke down and started crying, and I said, and he looked at me, was shocked, because I think he thought I was going to be really upset. And I started to cry, and I said, "It's fear. What you're seeing right now is fear, because I'm afraid that I may lose you. I'm afraid I may lose you to a lifestyle or a world that feels real flashy right now. But the reason I'm so fearful is because I see the greatness and the potential, and I'm scared to death as a mom. That all of the amazingness I see is going to be taken out of you, and you're going to be in a place and in a way of life that was, you deserve so much more. You're worthy of so much more." And I remember exactly where we were sitting when we had that conversation. And he got up and came over and hugged me. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, I didn't know that." Like, so it's almost like it all happened so beautifully, but it's almost like he needed to hear, and I didn't plan it. It just came out that I wasn't being this mean mom with all these restrictions.
Yeah, you're not just doing it to do it. Like you have, and that's another thing like that in another conversation we had, that when we were in an argument, it's like, it comes from a different place, but I can't always see that.
Right.
You know, so that's why these conversations, especially, I mean, with all of your children, are important to have for any reason, but to really try and, as soon as possible, make them understand where you're coming from and get on that same playing field, I guess. But yeah, I think I remember when that all went down. I mean, there were so many instances.
Yeah, well, there's so many of those. So patience, lots of surrender and patience.
Yeah, patience, definitely. Okay, well, there's definitely a million more hard things that I know that you've gone through for being a mom and continue to go through, but we can also talk about some of the best parts, or the best part. I don't know, like, how many you want to talk about, but some highlights of being a mom.
Some of the highlights about
You're
being...
like, I don't know if I have...
I'll get back to you in a couple of weeks. No. Some of the highlights about being a mom, I would say, is I truly didn't know that my heart was capable of this kind of a love. Like, obviously, you know, you love your family, you love the partner that you marry, at least hopefully, or, you know, some people start having children with it. You don't need to obviously be married, but I just didn't know that I was capable of a love that was so, it's an extension of me. It would be like me having 4 more arms or 4 more legs. Like it's part of me. But I also want to clarify and say, like, this is probably, again, going back to one of the hardest parts. It's a love so profound and unexplainable. And yet you have to trust that love is also going to find its way and do its thing, because it's like, I want to take it and like wrap it up and hold on to it forever and protect it and shield it and put it in bubble wrap. And to feel that kind of love and it's and truly, like, we talk about unconditional love, but I hadn't ever experienced that until I had a child. And I think, you know, watching each of you, one of the greatest parts when you were little was watching the discoveries. You know, Dad and I were notorious for, this might be bizarre, but we were really notorious for like hiding video cameras. To capture these unbelievable, cute, precious little moments. And I know it's probably...
we still haven't.
Well, we have them. We have to get them updated.
This has been a thing for
we'll
years. I'm like, so just my one Christmas gift, can we just get all those videos and things, like, so we can watch them? And there's, where are they? Sitting in the garage?
This Christmas is happening.
Okay.
You heard me. This Christmas is happening.
All right, hold her to it, please.
Yeah, January 26th. You can check in and
January
see if I did.
26th?
Oh, sorry, December. See, I gotta...
it's not happening.
No, December 26th. It's happening. I promise.
We'll see.
It's gonna happen on the 25th.
We'll do an episode. And
we will.
And whatever it's about, I'm just at the beginning. It's just going to be.
And we're going to show some of the videos of you as the school teacher and as the mermaid.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, maybe not.
But we had this thing with like hiding the video camera somewhere. And I mean, I know parents with their phones, they're capturing like all the moments now.
But at that point, there were no phones. It was just the camcorder.
Yeah, the camcorder. So we'd have to like camouflage it in between some teddy bears or something.
And we never saw it until I did.
Until you did. And then we were ruined. But those moments, and then afterwards, you would all go to bed and Dad and I would watch them and we would like cry laughter and joy. And just, is this even possible? Look at the innocence. Like, look at the discovery they're having. Yeah. Listen to the conversation they're having with their toys. Those are some of the most innocent and pure moments. And I want that for all children, to have that kind of innocence and that kind of imagination. Watching you, I'm so thankful that phones weren't a thing back then, because watching you all play and create entire universes using your imagination, whether it was in the sandbox or in a corner of a house or underneath like a fort you built. Those were some of the best moments. Now, some of the best moments are watching you all really find that, like really starting to root into your identities. Mm-hmm. And each of you is so unique.
Yeah, we're all so different.
So different. And watching, and so close, which is also incredible to me. I think right now, the greatest part is watching you all find your own individual paths and watching you find your individual relationships with each other.
100%. Like
as a mom, it's one of the most insane things to witness.
I think especially, at least for our family, our dynamic, like we've always been a very close family as a whole, but I felt like, I mean, for years, I mean, me and Hayden were always very close. Me and Kwame were close, but Jax, my younger brother, we were close when we were little, and then it was like, it's kind of like that stage like moms and teenagers go through. It's like, no matter what, like it just wasn't working. I was like, well, we're just never going to be close. And
I remember that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was so sad, which I'm sure as a mom was hard for you. But thankfully, I don't even know, but it just over time and continue. I mean, honestly, giving it a break for a little bit, I think was important, because trying to force it, like when neither of us were at that right, like stage, I don't know. It was just, we were just clashing all the time. And like, we obviously still argue now, but I would say I'm like on a personal level now closest with Jax. And like in a way that we text pretty much every day, call a decent amount. Like we called yesterday, like twice, like just like calling and talking. And it's just this, it's so nice to have that. And I'm sure like for you, it's great too. I mean, you always say like that, because I already know the answer to most of these questions. Like I know that you always say, especially when all of us are together, like the siblings, or just me and Jax or me and Hayden, like you love that. Like that's everything to you, that we genuinely, like we're not just together because we have to be. Yeah. Like me and Jax hang out because we want to, as siblings and as friends. And like when
friendship.
Yeah. And like, I mean, Jax obviously isn't old enough to like go out yet. So like me and him will do our own thing. And like, then me and Quan and Hayden and all of our friends will all go out together. And it's great. And it's honestly, it's pretty rare. Which I think I didn't realize either, because of the family we have. Like, obviously, like I said, me and Jax had our issues and stuff when we were younger, and now we're like best friends. But overall, we were always like a close, very close family, with the conversations that we have and just like the things that we do and how we all are and how deeply we care about each other through anything. And I didn't realize how rare that is. Yeah.
It's so true, Eva. When I saw the video, I think you posted it on like TikTok or something. Yeah, I saw a video of the three older siblings all out like last weekend.
Oh, that. I thought you were talking about the one, that trend where it was like.
Where you were all dancing on the steps or something.
Well, yes, but I thought that you were, I thought you were talking about the one where it was like something, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anyone. Oh, wait, I already did. Oh, there's a picture of us in Greece. Yeah. Because I was gonna do that with like a picture of me and Chris, because obviously like everyone was doing it like in a relationship, but I post so many things with him. I was like, I want to do one of my family. I posted like a picture.
I loved that one so much. That was really touching. But yeah, it's so heartwarming to see all of you out and genuinely as young adults enjoying being together.
Oh yeah, I love it.
It's the most incredible. And it's the best. So yeah, those are some of the greatest things about being a mom.
Yeah. I feel like just seeing the impact, or I guess seeing like how the years of things that you've gone through have made a positive impact, because it's like being a mom is hard enough, but how upsetting would it be after all the years of trying so hard for it just to not work out as great as it has?
And that happens a lot.
Yeah, which is just, that's so upsetting.
That happens a lot.
I guess, yeah, I would say from what I hear from you is that the best part, obviously, besides the things from when we were younger, is now seeing how your hard work is paid off and Dad's hard work is paid off, and your guys's, like everything that you guys have done has, like, for the most part, been really positive and impacted us in a good way, that we're still such a close family and everything that we've been through. So, okay, next question.
Yes.
Back to the not so positive things. Biggest regret as a mom?
Yes. The biggest regret as a mom was, and this may sound cliche, but it is really the truth now. And I actually was I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I was doing something with Dad. I can't even remember what it was. And I went to share this with him, my biggest regret, and I started crying. And Dad's natural response was to say, like, but you were such an amazing mom, and you were so available to them, and you were so emotionally present. And I said, yeah, well, that may be true. I still feel I could have been there more. And I was at a time where I, for whatever reason, was really resistant around for most of their young childhood ever getting any kind of help. And he was traveling pretty much Monday through Friday around the world. So I was trying to be everything to everybody. And what I, looking back, have regret for now is I wish that I would have sat down. I did sit down and play quite a bit, but I wish I would have sat down more and just observed and played the silly Barbies, or stayed in the pool longer, or stayed at the park longer. And I do really feel like I did a lot of that. There were times I would really like let other things go, but I always struggled with the balance of like making sure everybody was eating really, really healthy and also like getting enough sleep. And so trying to balance it all. When it's all said and done, I'm really happy we had such great routine, but I wish that I played more. I wish I was, that's the piece I regret, because I can't go back and get those years. I can't go back and like be the student in your classroom. Because I was too worried about like, I got to get dinner ready.
It's okay. I had imaginary students. They were basically the
same thing. Maybe if I played too much, it wouldn't have allowed the imagination to expand.
I mean, honestly, I can't understand that from your perspective. And I mean, there is obviously so many things I don't remember from the earlier years, obviously, but I never felt like I didn't have attention from you. And I never felt like we didn't all have attention from you. And with there were so many things that like we had to go through, and like different things with all the kids, and Jax's hearing aids and not knowing about that for so long, Hayden's allergies. Like there's just been so many things added on to already having 4 kids.
And what we should probably say, just for context, because it is a somewhat different dynamic, I had 2 biological kids, and then we adopted after that. So the dynamics of bringing adopted children into a family that's been, established already, that there's different layers of dynamics. And I actually, now that I'm saying it, Ava, we should do an entire episode on the beauty and the bounty
adoptive families.
The blending of adopting and biological, and what that gets to look like. God, I would love to ever do an episode where all 6 of us sat down.
We need to do that. That definitely needs to happen.
We're going to do that. We're going to make that happen.
Even if they're going to have to tune in or something, because we probably won't all be able to be in one space. But 100%, like, we should do that.
It's one of the most beautiful
stories. That's what the episode can be about. Because that's so, like, as important as these conversations between us are, and for anyone who is a mom or potentially going to be a mom or a daughter, anyone listening to these things, it's important anyway. But it's also important to hear, like, our whole family and what they have to say about these things. And especially if we're going to do an episode about the adoptive families, like, I mean, of course, Jax and Quan need to be in that.
100%. We would, we're not going to do it without them. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
So,
oh yes, thank you.
That's such, we definitely need to do that. See, we were trying to think of ideas for episodes. All we need to do is just start talking, and we always think of things.
And nonetheless, we have a list this long of already topics. It's more like, what are we in the energy to share?
Because we want it to be authentic and not feel forced, and it be.
And there's certain days you're not in the energy to talk about certain things. It's just the way we,
Some things are too sad or heavy, or some things are just, I'm like, I'm going to get too mad talking about that right now, and I have things to do today.
Yep, that's why we're doing a Q&A with Mom. What's the next question?
Then anyway, we're getting off topic. Okay, so that's your biggest regret. You feel that you wish you could have just kind of been in the moment more.
More, yes.
Which, again, wasn't really possible for you because you were doing everything under the sun, but obviously it doesn't mean you don't feel that way. So... Yeah. But at least you know that I don't really feel that way. And I'm sure none of the other kids would say that. So that's good. What are you most...
Oh, can I say something really quick to that?
No.
I heard somebody say something a couple years ago. Actually, it was Gila.
Okay.
Gila said,
this is our family friend.
The most beautiful thing. Gila, if you're listening, I love you.
Love you.
She said, when her kids were really, really little, because, they travel a ton.
Yeah.
When they were really little, they were going as if they had always been going, traveling in very exotic places, lots of travel. And somebody said to them, you take your kids to all these places. They're so young. They're not going to remember. And she was like, oh, I don't take them to all these places so they can remember. I take them to all these places so I can remember being there with them and seeing it through their eyes.
Wow.
And I remember it like stunned me, the beauty of it. Oh, I was like, wow. And of course they still do a ton of traveling, but it was like a really beautiful moment.
Yeah, because it's not just for them.
No.
Like it's for the family and it's for the parents to experience that and know that they did that with their kids.
And I've only been to, the first time I ever went to Italy in my life was with you and Hayden.
In Rome, right?
Yes. And
I mean, I don't remember that. The only reason I remember is because of the picture of me and Hayden.
Right? And it was like one of the most incredible experiences. And you guys don't remember it, but watching you
but I mean, we're there in the moment. So
yes.
like, that's why it's like, even if we can't look back and remember, like you get to remember it and you get to look back and we can see the pictures and be like, oh, like whatever. But it's for you guys.
Yes. And the funniest stories of like climbing up St. Peter's Basilica with Nana and Pop. And you guys were so little, people thought we were crazy climbing all the way up there inside of this little space with two little kids.
Yeah.
But it's still some of the best memories of Italy. It's always felt special to me, but I think there's something that feels extra special because I saw it at such a beautiful time in my life. I was a new mom. You were 18 months old and Hayden was like 3.
So cute.
It was just, it was so cute. Okay. I digress.
So cute. Okay. So we're on the positive note. What are you most proud of as a mom?
This is a really easy one to answer. I am most proud. You may not be surprised to hear this.
I think, I mean, I already know what I think you would say.
I'll be so curious to see if this is what you thought I was going to say. I am the most proud of starting this tradition when they were very, very little of writing letters to each other for their birthdays. So when they were like, when we just had Hayden and Ava at the time, they were 3 and 5. And I would give them a piece of construction paper and some crayons and say, okay, make a birthday picture for your brother or for your sister. And it was that simple, right? And then when they started to learn basic words, it was like, okay, do you want to write something on it? Yeah, I want to write, I like playing Legos with you. Or you're fun, or I love you, or
you're fun.
Right? Like so basic, so cute. And as they got older, these pictures and drawings with a couple misspelled words evolved into letters.
Yeah.
It is still a tradition we carry all these years later with 25-year-old, a 23-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 17-year-old. So if let's just say it's Ava's birthday, every single one of us, mom, dad, all siblings, write Ava a love letter. Mm-hmm. Then we gather on her birthday and we read the letter that we wrote to her out loud. Because what I wanted to do at such an early age is I wanted to teach them emotional capacity. I wanted to teach them vulnerability. I wanted to teach them how to deliver the words that they felt, the feelings they felt in their heart through words and their voice. And I didn't just want it to be handed to the person. I wanted them to learn the art of vulnerably standing there and sharing with the person through tears how I feel about you. Because I feel like so often we say those things at someone's funeral. And it was really important to me. And I had all those things already formulated in my mind, but I don't think I understood the power of what it was instilling in each of you fundamentally. I actually believe it's part of why your three brothers are as emotionally adept as they are.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they've been, since they were little, going into their rooms and spending a couple of hours like thinking about like, what do I want to say to this person?
And digging deeper, because if you're never forced, I mean, that sounds bad, forced, but like
encouraged.
If you're never encouraged, you never have a reason to do that. Think about like, now, whenever they decide to get married, if they decide to get married, vows are going to come like that to them.
Yes.
Like, and they're going to be good.
Because it's a skill set that's been built and fostered.
And not even just, you don't even have to like, it's not even just about for vows for a wedding. It's just in general. It doesn't even have to be when you're writing something to anybody. It's just that you can tap into that. Yes. And you can allow yourself to feel that. I mean, it's good for us, but in society, women are more... that's a more natural thing for women to be able to be vulnerable and emotional, but for men, it's not as much. Oh, no. So it's nice to.
But yet in our family, who of all six of us, who struggles to get through the
Dad.
He has to take about 20 deep breaths. He has to stop many times. He has to like deep breathe. He has to get up and move because he's so emotional that it's hard for him to, he does it. He gets through it, but it's with a lot of tears and a lot of starts and stops. But I also think what an extraordinary gift for each of you to watch your dad be so emotive. And rather than this like stoic, I've got it like, I don't show any emotion.
Because that's just not realistic. Yeah, I think it's really important to be able to see that because like I said, it's not realistic to not have those emotions. Like, so he's going to be feeling them at some point, and it's good for all of us because he can let them out like with all of us, and it doesn't have to be stored, and it's unhealthy to do that.
Isn't it also beautiful to see like that level of emotion?
And that he actually, because on the daily, he's not that emotional. You know, he's more
goofy.
He's funny. He's more like short. Like it's not short in a bad way, but it's like just kind of to the point. Like, you know, and that's just how he is because of what he does for a living and just like
super
how he
type
is. Yes. So it's nice for him and for us to be able to see that. But then also like, for example, if he's reading me my card, and I said this when we kind of touched on this briefly in another episode, how we do this. I said, we obviously, like any family, are going to be like, you know, I love you and say that quickly, but it's nice to really have them say like genuine things about you and see, oh, this is how they really feel. And like, because you don't say those kinds of things like on a random day. Yes. So it's nice to take that time to really appreciate each other and tell them why you're proud of them and love them. And and some of the things that you guys will write in the cards, I'm like, I didn't even know that they remembered that happened, or like, I didn't even know that meant so much to them. And like, that's why this is just another thing about awareness and like how far that goes and why it's so important.
It is hands down the thing I'm most proud of as a mom. And I think that's part of what has sealed us all so tightly.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we've been speaking like this for so long to each other.
I was going to say, I mean, I know that you love that you started that. And like, I know that I figured like if you were going to, I didn't know you were going to do a specific example, but if you were doing a specific example, I'd probably have said that. Or, I mean, that's a good one because it kind of encapsulates us as a family. Yeah. But I was just saying, like, I was thinking you would probably say something that you've always stayed true to what you believed was best for our family. Because, like, in every way. Because there's always been people, whether that's, like, our friends or random people you barely know, sharing their opinions on what my mom has done, whether it's the food that she feeds us, because she always tried to get the healthiest organic foods for us. I mean, even when we were like, Mom, like, just let us get Doritos. Like,
I'd be like, okay, can you read the ingredients?
Oh my God,
to me?
she'd be like,
That's not food.
She'd be like, read the ingredients. Okay, you can't pronounce that? No. I mean, she wasn't like that crazy. Like, we always, like, she would, like, it's not like you wouldn't let us get, like, stuff like that. But for most of the time, you would be like, and now it's crazy because I appreciate it so much. And you would say that you like one day you'll thank me, or you'd be like, okay, well, when you live on your own, you can buy any kind of food you want.
I used to say you could fill your house with Doritos and Oreos.
Yeah, and it's funny because now that I am at that age where I can make those decisions, I want the healthy food, and like I'm putting you on to things.
You are with your scanner.
Yeah, literally with the Yuka app. If you don't know it, YUKA, get it, and it will change your life.
Yeah, anyway. Yuka, we love you.
Yeah, we do. Sponsor
We're
us.
a little crazy. You should have seen us in the pantry like, oh, should we keep this? What else do we have to keep?
Literally. But whether it was with food or making decisions and helping and supporting Jax with anything with his life, adopting kids, anything with that, I was just telling this story when we went out last night, some of our friends, moving to Boston for a year when Dad stayed in Colorado because he had to for his job, moving there to find a natural way to heal Hayden's allergies. Nobody believed that was going to work, and it did. So I think like in everything, you followed your gut and you knew that you were doing what was best. And again, like, I mean, it is your first time being a mom. You don't really know, but there was this like instinctual feeling that was what was best for us in anything. And I think that was, at least for looking from like what I know that you've told me and how grateful I am that you've done that, that I would say you sticking to, and it's still you, because I mean, your hair is gray. You don't have to get Botox just because you feel like that people are making you or any influence. That's just you as a person.
I source from inside.
Yeah, that's just you as a person. But then I think keep staying true to that as a mom, as hard as it is, because so many people have things to say. I think that, like, at least from the outside is I would say one of your best things. I mean, that's just kind of like an umbrella.
Yes.
And then there's all the things.
Yes.
Inside. But I would say that's like an overarching theme.
Thank you, Ava. Thank you for reflecting that back. That's really beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. The last, I wouldn't say question, but I guess kind of thing to close out that we wanted to say. I guess one of them would be like the surrendering. I kind of figured that was something you might bring up, but just a message to moms, but especially to new moms. Cause I mean, there's any age group listening to these podcasts, but I guess anybody, like any message to moms in general or new moms.
Yeah. My message would really be that the best thing you can do for your children is to make sure you still live a life that has purpose and meaning for you.
Yeah.
Because, there's that famous quote by Carl Jung that says, the greatest burden to a child is an unlived life of a parent. And because what I think happens is when we become parents, if our whole life stops and only becomes about the children, that's our only mode of reflection of who we are in the world or as a human, it's the only place we get love or worth. The slippery slope then becomes, as children start to individuate, which is normal and healthy and what we expect, you then start to feel like you're losing them and you glom on, or you over helicopter, or you put all the things that you wish you would have done with your life onto your child and expect them to pursue them.
Yeah.
And you're not able to be like, I am so okay for them to individuate and discover and become their own individual, unique selves, because I have kept my own individual, unique self.
Yeah.
I think the big danger in our culture and the way that it is set up, it often doesn't foster the ability for moms or value the time for moms to nourish themselves. And there's this really big, like, silent machine somehow that creeps into every one of us as we become new moms that make us feel wrong or selfish if we want to take a nap or a day off.
Yeah.
I remember sometimes, Ava, being so sleep deprived and also overwhelmed that Dad would say to me, when I get back from this trip, I want you just to go to a hotel for one night. we're going to get you an early check-in. And what a privilege that we could do that. And it wasn't always like the best hotel, but he's like, somewhere down the street. Like, go there as soon as you can get there, order room service, and just like relax, go to sleep at 7 p.m., wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning the next day, right? Like take your time coming back home, like really, really just be with yourself, because he knew that I was getting absolutely no breathing space.
Yeah.
And so I'm so happy that I took, even if it was just small moments or a couple of hours here and there, to take that time to make sure that I was still paying attention to myself, because I think that burnout and resentment start to creep in if you don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like it's obviously easier said than done, because I feel like even you, I mean, I guess I didn't, again, like there's things that you start to learn once you get older and we can have these conversations, but there was a lot where you would struggle with the fact that being a mom is everything. Like, and not even because you chose that, but because, like you said, like the way that things are set up and the way that dad was always traveling, like you didn't really have a choice. You didn't at that point have the job that you wanted. You know, now you've been able to reclaim that, but you didn't really have that. Everything was about us. So whether you want to or not, like you're gonna start to like resent being a mom, because you're like, this is taking everything away from me. Like, because there's like this idea, and like it's why some people choose not to have kids, because it's like once you have kids, like this is how everyone, at least in my age, sees it. Once you have kids, your life's over. You know, like there's
often
amazing
for a woman, but not
but
not in the same way for a man or his career.
That's why I think it's important, at least for me where I'm at in my life. I mean, I'm not even married, so I'm far from like ever, like at least from down my path having kids, but I would be lying if I said I don't think about that, especially because I'm in like a serious relationship now. But I think what, like, I guess for me, I mean, I'm not a mom, but like a message to girls my age, or to moms, who, or people who want to be a mom, like in a marriage and like have a kid with somebody, you need to pick a good person, because even as great as your relationship,
you pick to be a parent with is
everything. Because even your relationship with dad, as great as a guy that he is, it was still hard.
Very.
And he still had to come a long way. Very. So it's like, if you're starting out with a guy right now who can't even do basic things with you, good luck with kids. Like, that's what I think about all the time. Like, and I just look, and like, that's a whole nother conversation, but I just like, sometimes I look at people who are getting married or want to have kids with people or plan on that. And I'm like, with him, he literally, he doesn't even respect you. Like, that's another thing. It's not just about having somebody who wants to have kids, because that's easy to say you want to have kids.
Well, from that energy, it's like an accessory.
Yeah, it's beyond that. It's like, do they actually respect you? Do they respect women? Because that's another thing we were talking about.
We'll do that episode.
Yeah, because
that's a whole nother episode.
That's a whole other episode. Like, I won't even get into that, but that's important, because if they want kids, but they don't respect women, they won't respect you through pregnancy. They won't be there for you. They probably won't want to have a girl. They won't know how to like be a girl dad. Like, there's just so many things that it's like, you need to be putting yourself in the situation where you're in a good place with that person.
Yes.
Because otherwise you're just screwing yourself from the start.
Absolutely.
Because it's hard enough when you have a good relationship.
Partnering, like who you choose to go into parenting with, is one of the biggest decisions of your life. I find that it can almost, and as evidenced by things that we have seen in an extended family, it can make or break an entire situation. And it truly, really, in the end, I think most of the damage falls upon the innocent children. So I am so thankful, circling back to that final question you asked, I'm so thankful that I had a partner that recognized me needing space to breathe and not taking it as a personal attack, or that I didn't want to be with the family, or that I didn't care. And also when there were moments or gaps where he wasn't recognizing, I'm so thankful that I had the voice within me to say I need space. Yeah. I need a day or two. Or I just need to go to the park by myself for an hour or two. And then help him understand this has nothing to do with me not loving our kids or not wanting to be a mom. I'm an individual who doesn't even have time to go to the bathroom alone. Like, I just want to have an hour to get in my car. And sometimes my big thrill, which is almost sad as well, and I stopped in the beginning, my big outing was going to the supermarket. And then I finally wised up enough to be like, well, that doesn't really count. That is not a nourishing time for me. While it was easier and more effective, and definitely I saved a lot more money when I went to the supermarket without all of you. Because of course you always were throwing things in the cart. I finally wised up as a more evolved mom to say, maybe I could do something that felt a little bit more fun than just going to the supermarket alone. So that would be my words to any new moms, is make sure that you are still feeding into yourself and your soul, because it's really the most beautiful gift you can give your children. Because if we use the analogy of walking around with a coffee mug and your coffee mug is empty and it's dry, when someone bumps into you, nothing's going to come out. Because it's dry, it's brittle,
There's nothing you can give them.
You can give them nothing because it's empty. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
But if it's filled with abundance and love and joy and nourishment and rest, when they bump into you, you're going to offer those same things because it's what you're already full of. Yeah. So be careful not to be contaminated with resentment. And that really just is us needing to speak up and advocate for ourselves. So
and getting the time to regenerate almost and relax.
So important.
And I think also it's really important to be forgiving of yourself. If you know you're doing your best, you have to give yourself credit for that and grace, because like you said, you started to learn things. You're not going to know how are you supposed to know? You don't know how to be a mom. You have to learn along the way.
And with each child's personality and temperament requires you to parent them differently.
Yeah.
So that also is a really important part. But yes, I love this conversation so much. I know that you have somewhere to be, so I want to be
we always go over time, which is fine.
She's a strict 30 minutes because I have to leave for something
I was 30 minutes max.
Okay, 45. We did great.
Okay, 45.
Okay, love you.
Love you. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I would love to hear your feedback. Message me on Instagram or write a review. And of course, if you know a woman who could benefit from this episode, please share it with her, because it can heal her life. And that's what sisters do. Love always, Dr. Amanda.